He didn't listen to my concerns at all. Why are men allowed to be gynecologists? I mean, why? What's up, guys? It's Devin Harrington, the average Gen Xer, and welcome back to my channel, where today we're taking a look at some stories written by women who have the unfortunate experience that is still all too common in today's world in the medical field, and that is misogyny during childbirth. Just what you need. As always, please remember that I don't read these posts by regretful parents in order to mock or shame these folks in any way. I think this is really a tragedy that in the information age, there are so many people out there who say, no one told me pregnancy was this hard. No one told me childbirth was this hard. No one told me this could happen. No one told me I could get an injury from giving birth. No one told me how hard it was to have a baby. No one told me how difficult it was going to be to raise kids. No one should be saying that. And I just want to encourage people to do their due diligence and prepare themselves and stop. In my very humble opinion, we absolutely have got to stop bringing children into the world that we are not prepared to care for. And I realize that's a huge ask of the human race because people are always going to want to get it on and shit happens, right? But that's why I make this content, to let people know someone might stumble along here and find out that what we're going to read about can happen. And you just never know. You roll the dice every time you decide to have a kid or keep an oops pregnancy or whatever it is. So I'm just trying to spread information, and I hope that it's helpful, because we should not have this many regretful parents saying, no one told me. There's something wrong with the culture of having a family, having kids, if there's that much lack of information. Misinformation, people being outright lied to convince them to have kids. That may have been okay in past centuries, but we're up to 8.5 billion people on this planet. Consider the fact the human population of the earth was 4 billion in the mid-1970s. That does not bode well. So let's check out these posts and find out what fresh hell there is to read about today. But first, on every video on this channel, I take a moment to beg and plead with all animal lovers out there. Please consider fostering or volunteering on site with your local animal shelter or rescue organization. I guarantee you there's one near you, and they would love to have any amount of volunteer help you would like to give. My most recent fosters were 3 adorable little black and white puppies, and they, along with 4 others, there were 7 in the litter. They were found in a cardboard box left somewhere. And luckily, some good Samaritan brought the box to the shelter, and the Austin Animal Services was able to take them in, even though right now they are over 60 large dogs over capacity. It is a critical situation, and unfortunately, it's like that in most shelters in the US at least, but certainly around the world too. So we need all the animal lovers to just do their little part to help save the world. And if you remember, my last foster was Dottie. She was the last of the 3 to get adopted. She was adopted by a lovely young lady who lives with her family on a horse ranch and has goats and chickens and all kinds of other animals that Dottie has never seen before. And so she's going to have many adventures, but this lovely young lady has been just the best about sending pictures. You don't, obviously you don't demand that your adopters send pictures and video, but I always tell them I would love to see any you want to send, even if it's years from now. I would love to see how my old foster babies are doing. So Dottie's having the time of her life. She's getting pup cups at Starbucks, and she's hanging out in a really kick-ass pickup truck, and she's shopping at PetSmart. So if you love animals, please do your part to help save the world. Do it for the animals. Thanks. Okay, these both of these posts are pretty long, so I only picked two of them. The first one is by user Ill Explanation, titled Long-Term Birth Injury Damage. I have to admit, I was over 50 years old before I knew that most women tear when they give birth vaginally. No idea. Had no idea. I don't have any kids, so how would I know? But that's something that every woman should know, right? Okay. While there's certainly been some hard moments in parenting, for the most part, I have actually really enjoyed having kids and being a mom. That's good. What I haven't been able to come to terms with is how damaging it was to my body. So much so that I can't shake the thought that had I known what it would do to me physically, I would not have risked it. Had she known. She could have known. She could have just Googled all the birth injuries that can occur during childbirth. I mean, with AI, you could literally ask ChatGPT to tell you every horrible thing that can happen to a woman's body during childbirth, and it will, and most of it will be right. She goes on. I hate that feeling, but it won't go away. I expected and was willing to accept changes in my appearance. What I didn't expect was for the functionality of my vagina to be so permanently destroyed. Well, there's like an 8-pound larvae coming out of there, like it ain't going to be the same, at least, like it might be close to the same, but I guess what I'm trying to say is she probably thought it would just be, a little tear, maybe not even. And yeah, it'll be painful, contractions, blah, blah. Get the epidural, get the kid out of there, and get on your merry way. But a million things can go wrong. And if you really, really, really want kids and you are prepared to take care of them and you feel sure in your guts that you are meant to be a parent, then by all means. But please know that these things can happen. Okay, so she says, it was actually fine for my first two births. I tore, and my OB stitched me up, and all was perfect afterwards. Well, that's good, I guess. But then I had my third. For that birth, I had switched to midwives. I was actually nearing the end of training to become a midwife myself. I had no idea that decision was going to destroy me. I tore again for that birth. Only this time I was told the skin came together nicely, and so there was no need to suture. This is more shit that I've learned recently from reading these posts. I didn't realize that the tear can be just in the skin, or it can be deeper into the muscle. You can tear up the back, you can tear up the front. Now, since I've never given birth, that's not on my radar so much, but this is shit that every woman should know. Okay. She goes on. As I previously mentioned, I had been training to become a midwife at that point, so I was pretty in tune with what tears needed to be repaired and which ones did not. It was common practice to not suture most first-degree tears involving only the skin and not the muscle, so I didn't question it further. Never had I heard a doctor or a midwife refer to a second-degree tear as a skin tear. If you really want to do your due diligence, just look up the degrees of vaginal tears during childbirth. It's really eye-opening. Okay, she goes on. Imagine my surprise when 3 days later, 3 days after the birth, I check to see how things are healing for the first time, and my perineum is gaping open. Oh my God. It was very evidently a second-degree tear, nearing a third. I was mortified. Unfortunately, repairing the injury was not an option at 3 days postpartum, as the risk of infection would have been far too high. And so I'd have to wait until I was fully healed to pursue having the area reconstructed. Oh my God. Eventually, I finally got a gynecology consult. He agreed it should be repaired, but he refused to do it until after I was done having children. She's already had 3. Fair enough. I was not happy with the decision, but I decided logically his stance made sense. At this point, everything had healed, gaping open. Oh my God. Why? Why would you do this to yourself? Why would you risk doing this to yourself? You really need that many kids? She goes on, the muscles were not approximated at all. I had less than 1 centimeter of perineum left. And the exposed tissue of where my perineum should be was continuously getting irritated, and due to the gaping at the entrance of my vagina, I had zero sensation whatsoever during intercourse. I mean, I guess at least she's not saying it was painful, but I mean, as someone who had chronic pain during sex for 35 freaking years before somebody with a brain figured out what was causing it, pelvic floor PT, by the way, I guess I'd rather have no sensation than pain during intercourse. She goes on, my husband claimed it was still fine for him. Oh, well, then that's okay. That's all that matters, sir. But it was not fine for me, and I can't help but think he's lying. Pelvic floor physio helped some, but because of the anatomical disfigurement of the muscles no longer being approximated together, physio could only do so much. At that time, I decided against filing a malpractice suit against the midwives. Lapses of judgment happen, and I assumed that eventually it would be rectified. Which, I said misogyny during childbirth. This woman has a nearly 3rd-degree tear, and these women who helped her give birth just gave a cursory look and said, okay, yeah, it's fine. I mean, I'm not ragging on the midwife profession, but it's crazy to think that this kind of mistake could be made by other women who are trained in this field. That's how ingrained in society misogyny, which to me means like women are less than, women are, just, it doesn't matter. She'll figure it out. Like that kind of thing. If I'm using the wrong word, like I know misogyny is a pretty strong word and it's more like the hatred of women, but I think it applies in these stories. Fast forward, my husband and I completed our family. Unfortunately, the gyno that I had previously seen about fixing the damage retired early during COVID, so I had to be referred elsewhere. After a long wait, I finally got in, only to be told it's primarily a cosmetic issue and my prolapse rectocele. Oh, okay. According to Google AI, a rectocele is a type of pelvic organ prolapse where the rectum bulges into the back wall of the vagina due to weakened pelvic floor muscles, maybe caused by 3 pregnancies, lady, and then she had more after that, often causing a feeling of pressure, difficulty with bowel movements, and a visible bulge. Caused by childbirth, chronic constipation, or aging, it is treated with pelvic floor exercises or surgical repair. Okay, she goes on. My prolapse rectocele, which was very likely intensified by the lack of perineal support, was not severe enough. And so I was not severe enough. And so I was not a candidate for repair at that point in time. I felt as though he didn't listen to my concerns at all. Why are men allowed to be gynecologists? I mean, why? So she had an experience with a doctor, a male doctor, who just dismissed her concerns. She probably went in there and told him what she says earlier in this story, that, I've had all the children I want to have. And when I had my third one, such and such happened. And now I can't feel anything during sex. And really, that's where you really see the real hardcore misogyny from male doctors. When I was in the middle of my chronic pain saga, I didn't have health insurance, and I was on the Austin City, you had to qualify, and I had to do all kinds of fancy math to get my very small paychecks to be small enough to qualify. But I ended up in the office of the guy who was the head of urology at this hospital. And when I said my main concern is pain during sex for my entire sex life since I was a teenager, his response was, well, stop having sex. I mean, would he say that to a man? Probably not. She goes on. I felt as though he didn't listen to my concerns at all. I was devastated. Some time passed, and I needed to see another gynecologist for another issue, and so I decided to try to address the tear issue again. I was met with the same response. It's not bad enough to be repaired. What the fuck does that mean? Again, devastated. Eventually, I picked up the pieces and I decided to try again. I researched, and I found a gynecologist who got great reviews and specialized in prolapse management and reconstruction surgery. My referral was declined. I researched again, found another who seemed promising, but then once again, my referral was denied. I just wanted to cry. There's been a lot of tears. It seemed like my only option now is to go private, and I simply don't have the money for that. I opted to become a stay-at-home mom after my third child, and now, as a consequence of giving up on having a career to focus on my kids, I don't have the extra money needed to fix the damage that giving birth caused to my body. Do we spend all of our savings on braces or my vagina? I know what I'd be spending that money on, and it would be the vagina. It's going to be the braces, and all I get is resentment. No, ma'am, it does not have to be. This is how women are taught to behave, to just give up their health and safety and their comfort and their pleasure so that their husband and kids can just go on their merry way. If your kids need braces, fine. But do you want to live your life like this? You shouldn't have to. Women should be taken fucking seriously by every doctor. And I had another male gynecologist who gave me a hard time the first time I saw him because he saw that I was on hormone replacement. And he gave me attitude and said, what are you taking all this stuff for? And my mouth literally fell open. Like, you're a fucking gynecologist. Look at my age. Why do you think I'm taking hormone replacement? What I actually said was to suffer less, because menopause is no fun with my genetics anyway. And, they hand you the little tablet afterwards to review your visit. And that man earned himself a scathing fucking review. So the only change that can be made here is women refusing not to be taken seriously. Like, no, look at this mess. I want it fixed. If I was your mother, would you want me to have this fixed? If I was your wife, if I was your sister, if I was your daughter? I mean, why even bother being a doctor if you don't understand how demoralizing it is to have that happen to you during birth and have no one give a shit because, well, you're married and you're just a mom. Like, that's your lot in life. God, I'm getting fired up, man. All right, everybody just calm down. Let's finish this article. It's been over 10 years now, and the topic eats away at my self-worth just as much now as the day I first discovered what happened. Yeah, the psychological toll and the emotional toll and the self-esteem toll is almost worse than the physical. Women need to be better warned that such things could happen. If having a baby breaks you, it is well within the realm of possibility that they won't care enough to even try to put you back together again. Yeah, because you're just a woman. Who cares? Okay, a few of the comments on this story. Pixie the Fairy said, I don't understand how people are begging women to have kids, and then that's how women are treated. I'm so sorry. This is really unfair. Yeah, that's like, for openers, it's really unfair. Cheesecake Pie Brownie said the system purposely doesn't tell women about the dangers involved with pregnancy, childbirth, and post birth complications because they know it would scare so many out of adding another unit into the system. Hell yeah, that's right. I remember sex ed in school, and they showed us a video of a woman giving birth, but never talked about how any of that can permanently hurt or even kill you. Pixie the Fairy responded, yes, I'm so thankful for every single woman that shares her story. Absolutely. I love, love, love Reddit for that reason, that people can come on here and anonymously spew all the resentment they are holding in. It is definitely, as much as social media has its negative side, this, I think, is helpful. Pilikia 5 agreed. The women sharing their experiences are truly doing the Lord's work. And I know it isn't easy to speak up against the roar of society's cultural gaslighting. That's a great name for a band. Society's cultural gaslighting. But I love that, the way she puts that, or they put that. It isn't easy to speak up against the roar of society's cultural gaslighting. We are very lucky to have more and more brave people speaking out about the reality behind pregnancy, delivery, and parenting these days. Everyone deserves the right to make an informed decision about their future, especially women who literally risk their lives to bring children into the world. That is certainly true. Ad Aromatic said, I have a whole rant on this. All right, let's hear it. In the US, we're trying to ban abortion and force women to keeping the pregnancy. Don't even get me started. I live in Texas. While offering no healthcare assistance throughout the time of pregnancy, labor and delivery, and postpartum, so the woman obtains the legal responsibility of the bill. Meanwhile, there's no repercussions for guys who skip out. Can a man be held to child support? Yes, but that only factors in once the baby is born, and the father isn't responsible for any bills prior to the baby being born, despite it taking 2 people for the baby to be conceived inside the woman who now needs prenatal care. People love to argue it's the woman getting the care, so she should pay for it. But let's be real. That care is for the health of the baby, and the woman is more or less the incubator. You don't maintain the health and safety of the vessel. You risk the safety of the living being inside. People are also talking about the declining birth rate or how women no longer want to have kids. Yet we offer no support to moms postpartum, and that starts from the minute the baby is born. Jobs and careers we as adults choose to have, no one bats an eye when we complain about burnout, crappy aspects that come with the job, etc. But if you complain about being a burnt out mom, you're told you're being ungrateful, given unsolicited parenting advice, and told that you chose to be a mom. Well, you did. And I am all for any mom just saying the truth. If you hate being a mom, it's okay. We're getting there, in my humble opinion, but we've got to just lose the putting moms on a pedestal. Moms are humans. They are women. They are flawed. They often have no fucking idea what they're getting themselves into. Themselves. She goes on. We crap on moms for placing children in daycare to be able to work. We judge moms for being a stay-at-home mom. We judge moms for prioritizing self-care while also judging moms for letting themselves go. You know, a woman can essentially risk their life to bring life into this world, and we treat them like garbage. Yeah, that's misogyny. Societal, just ingrained misogyny. We literally oppress and shame women into not speaking about the severe mistreatment by calling babies a blessing and that it's all worth it. Pixie the Fairy said what I'm thinking, well said, and on the next Maury said A plus rant. Yeah, that is, I mean, she points out a lot of great stuff. And I am guilty of judging women who have kids and choose to stay home or not, or daycare or whatever. Um, I have judged women for that. Probably because I am so opposed to bringing kids into the world as it is now, and as we don't need any more kids for a while. Okay. Okay, and finally, from someone who deleted their account, regretful parent after birth injury. Feel like I'm drowning in grief, guilt, PTSD, and self pity. Oh my God, poor woman. Venting advice welcome. Due to negligence, my son was left in the birth canal for too long without oxygen. Ever since he was born, my life has been a living hell. The positive things. My little boy is absolutely amazing and the sweetest and most easygoing baby I could have ever asked for. Thank God. Something positive. We've been so lucky. He's been in such good health considering what happened to him. He's also met most of his milestones to date, which we have been so fortunate to see. The negative things, the future is unknown. He could have cerebral palsy, intellectual delays, anything really. The grief and guilt are unreal. It's quite honestly near impossible to get out of bed in the morning. I feel like the first 6 months were spent in survival mode with a side of denial, and now the dust has settled and reality has set in, and I can't cope. I see my friends' same aged babies doing more than my son, and I melt down. Last night, I had basically a panic attack where I spiraled that he's not doing X, Y, and Z, and my friends' babies are, and I'm always left without answers. Is this the birth injury or just his pace of development? I'll literally never know. Yeah, it's interesting. One birth injury was to the woman. This birth injury is to the baby. I'll literally never know, and it's so incredibly hard. He crawls on his belly using only one leg, and every time I see him do it, it sends me into a panic. Is it funny baby stuff or cerebral palsy? No one can give me answers. I have to wait and see. It doesn't end if he ends up physically normal either. He'll be at risk for speech delays, learning disabilities, behavioral issues, the whole 9 yards. I feel like I'm on a roller coaster ride with no direction or control. God, I just feel this in the pit of my gut, this woman's situation. At least her baby sounds very happy and healthy for the most part. I'm starting to isolate myself from baby play groups because I can't relate to other moms and their perfect births. Well, they're probably not telling you a few things. And I can't stop comparing my son to other babies. The PTSD from the birth and the NICU is horrible enough, and now I have to live in this hell. I have flashbacks every day of laying on the bed being stitched up. Ugh. While my son was being resuscitated in the same room as me. Therapy and medication can only help so much. They can't erase what happened. I don't know how I was so blind to believe that I'd just get pregnant and give birth to a healthy baby and go home from the hospital the next day. How could I have been so naive? I feel so blindsided and regretful. I regret every day, even getting pregnant. If they taught women about birth injuries and what can happen to a healthy full-term baby during labor and delivery, I bet less people would choose to be parents. I know it's the hospital's fault and not mine, but in a sick way, I still manage to blame myself for what happens sometimes. I'm so devastated and depressed. I don't think I'll ever be the same, and I'll always have to live with this dark cloud over me. I'm so sick of crying every day. As I sit here typing this, my eyes are literally swollen from crying myself to sleep last night. I truly feel like this is all a nightmare. It feels like something that you hear about happening to others that could never happen to you. It just feels so unbelievably unfair. Thanks for listening. So that's a really interesting birth injury. The baby was left in the birth canal for too long. Anybody out there familiar with this type of thing? How long can a baby be in the birth canal? I mean, some women push for a long time before that baby comes out. Okay, so let's end this with this one comment, which is very encouraging. Impossible Art 437. So I was born a couple of months early. My mom said she was left in the hallway by the nurses because they didn't believe her when she said I was coming out. More misogyny from nurses back in the day. A pregnant woman says the baby's coming out. I'm on a gurney in the hallway, and the nurses don't believe her? What the fuck? Long story short, I was born not breathing and I ended up with cerebral palsy. I'm so blessed that I was only affected on my left side. I don't have much feeling. I started walking at 15 months. I had surgery on my lower left leg to lengthen my muscles. I stayed on honor roll and I graduated high school ranking 16 out of 200 students. Yes, I have challenges, but count your blessings. Your child will need you to help him know that he can do whatever he puts his mind to, just maybe a little differently. Now I'm in the healthcare field, helping others and living a fulfilling life with my husband and my 2 kids. Be encouraged. That's nice. I like that. I think the grief this woman feels that she didn't have that blissful birth experience, that mythical experience of with candles and soft music playing and the baby, just slides out so easily and everybody's so in love and happy, and that's a burden to put on women. And it's gaslighting because even though we logically know that childbirth is painful and can kill you and can disable you, mother or baby, this kind of gaslighting, I mean, it's just a habit of society. That's what women have always been told. There is no greater blessing than being a mother. Unless you don't want it. God, I'm just like dumbfounded at how women are treated, and it's just considered normal in society still in this day and age. But we're going to keep on howling into the void. And that's what I have for you today, guys. You know the drill. I would love to hear your thoughts on these stories. If you have experienced misogyny during childbirth and you are willing to share your story, I would love to hear it. Or if you are just a woman who has experienced misogyny in any kind of healthcare situation, it's probably really fucking tragic and would really piss me off if I knew the exact percentage of women who have experienced being dismissed by doctors, male doctors in particular, but not always. I have gotten plenty of misogyny and sadism even from a female gynecologist I had the misfortune to run into, and she earned herself a scathing Google review too. So if you like this video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, do all the YouTubey things. It really helps, and I so appreciate everyone who stops by to hear me talk shit on the internet. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.